guys, greetings and salutations. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. I wanted to make another video, and I really wanted to touch on a topic that I think that really applies to both men and women, but I'm going to say more so men. And this is really just starting a romantic relationship the right way. In fact, now that I think about it, this concept really applies to every relationship, but I want to kind of keep it really close to the romantic dating relationship aspect. So hear me out, and yeah, please like and subscribe. I love comments as well. I think having exchanges about these relationship issues, I think is very profitable, is helpful, not only for people to, teach me, but I can teach people the things that I'm learning in life. And also maybe someone reading our comments can also learn something from it, even if it's like years from now. But I think it's important just to have these dialogues, especially as men, because let's face it, in our Western society, a lot of men like myself, we don't have a lot of support. So I definitely want to encourage us to help one another if we can. So I do want to just get into this topic. I don't think it's going to be too complex, but here we go. So let me just start off by saying that I obviously have had my opportunities to date ladies, and I will say there are a handful of situations that I started out the wrong way. And one in particular really stood out to me, and that is a lady that I used to drive a little bit more than an hour to go see, I don't know, every week or every other week, years ago when I was in my 20s, that I would try to connect with. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that she had no intention of dating me, but she did enjoy me taking her to the movies and also always going out to eat at a decent restaurant. Sometimes it was a place like Chili's, and I would try to take her out to these nice places because in my head, my intention was to date someone so I can get married. And for her, I think it was just, I'm just one of many guys that is entertaining her for fun. And I didn't realize at the time that that was something some women did. Now, I do want to be clear. I understand not every woman thinks that way. And in fact, this particular lady, I don't believe that she still thinks that way today. I think things are a little bit different now that time has passed. And, I think a lot of us, we learn a lot of hard lessons sometimes as we mature, that some opportunities close and stuff like that. Things are not always the same when you're a younger person. So I'm not trying to down her in any way, but I want to teach this lesson because I feel like the younger me would have appreciated someone to actually talk about this with me ahead of time. So I'm just putting it out there for you guys. But I do remember I obliged with taking her to a movie, and then we would always go out to eat somewhere nice and decent, so she would get her drinks, she would get a nice meal. Sometimes I would throw in an appetizer on top of what I was buying for myself and to eat and drink. And so I could spend a good amount of money, maybe minimum, $40 at the movie theaters, because often she wanted some snacks and stuff like that. I thought that I was making preparation for having a committed, long-term committed relationship. So I thought all those things that I was doing and investing in, I thought that I was doing a good thing. I thought I was investing in a future relationship. I was providing a foundation. And I didn't know that this was somebody that was just having fun. Like, my role was just to entertain her. My job was to just pay for stuff, and she just wanted to have a good time. In fact, I think it was later on I realized that, she was intermingling with other guys and stuff like that. So I think I was the only idiot, I'm going to say, at the time. I was driving an hour out to make sure I paid for all these things, but it was short-lived after a while. I did start putting limits to my relationship with her when I realized that we weren't dating. And ever since I met her, she actually helped me understand how to approach other dating situations in the future. So that's something that I really want to emphasize to all of you, is that it's important that you find someone that's going to connect with you, because obviously I'm not red pill. I am a Christian man. I do think that marriage is something that every man should be aiming to have. And, the Bible tells us in Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So it's important to understand that God desires marriage for all of us, and God will even support us if we make the right decision and move forward in a relationship with a woman, not playing around, not goofing off, not stringing her along, but actually marrying her. God is going to support us with that decision. But if there's anything I really want to emphasize in this video, is that you want to evaluate not only the type of woman that you are connecting with, but I think it's important to establish relationship boundaries as you start getting to know her. For example, I don't think spending, $40, $50 is that bad on a date, in my opinion, okay? At least currently where inflation is right now. I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's a bad thing that out of 10 dates, the guy, you as the man, you take initiative to pay at least, maybe a little bit more than half the dates. Like, that should be the expectation. Every time you ask this woman out, you should already understand that you are the one setting the stage for, how things are going to be conducted. you are already asking her out, so you are preparing in advance to make sure you have the money to support the date. You have to think about, of course, how much miles you're going to drive, so make sure you have gas in your car so you can make it to and from your date. You may decide that you're going to meet her at a location. You may decide that you're picking her up. You know, there are times when I've picked a lady up and then we went to the date. You know, other times I met the lady. So you have to think about the gas and the mileage, you know, or maybe she's local and it's not that big of a deal. You have to think about parking. You have to think about entrance fees at certain places if you're going to go dancing with her or whatever. You have to think about the type of things that you're going to purchase potentially when you go get some food. You know, I think it's important to understand if you're going to go see a movie. Do you guys want to do snacks? Do you want to go to the dollar store beforehand? Do you want to get some snacks at the movies? And who's paying for that? So there are some nice ladies that I've actually taken out on dates, whether they were just a friend or maybe an actual date. There are a lot of ladies that are aware that we men, we spend a lot on a date, so they will try to pay for the little stuff, you know. Hey, let me pay for your entrance in this place, or hey, let me pay for the snacks for the movie, you know. I think it's awesome, but I think it's important to have limits when you are going on a date, you know. And sometimes what I think is very effective is just voicing that even before you go out on the date. I think it's important that, you know, you could say something as simple as, oh, hey, you know, I think it's really important that we have fun today. You know, I have $100 as the budget for tonight. I think it's important just to make sure that you're dealing with a lady that's not materialistic and she's not looking at you as a dollar sign. You know, you voice those things. I think it's important also that if you're having an initial discussion with her, let's say you're talking on the phone. Now, hopefully you're not sharing every single thing on the phone, because some ladies, you can kind of make it a little dull to connect with you if you're putting everything on the phone and you're sharing everything, and then later on you see her and there's nothing else to really touch on now because now you've shared everything. But I think it's important ahead of time, whether you're on a date in person or even on the phone, but just discuss finances to some extent. I think some people think it's tacky. I think it's wise. I think it's wise to just discuss that. But the most important thing is keeping in mind that if you start a certain pattern with a woman and you're spending $300 on a date, there are a lot of women, not all, but there are a lot of women that will grow accustomed to that. And you're going to have to maintain that. You're going to have to maintain that unrealistic expectation possibly if you're not somebody that's making that type of money. And even if you did make a lot of money, I would still argue that I don't think it would be wise for any of us to try to associate ourselves with a woman that would expect that or require that. I think that it's nice to spend $300 when you can on a special occasion. Let's say you're just a regular ordinary guy making $40,000, $50,000 a year. Yeah, maybe on rare occasions you want to take the time to pay for something very nice. But I think that it's also important that you make a separation or you make a distinction between the women that require you to spend $300 and, you know, a crazy amount of money versus, you know, something that's more realistic, you know. Like for me, an amazing lady that loves the Lord and she's okay with $40, $50, and then maybe she from time to time she may even pay and help out with I don't know, the tip, or I think that's amazing. I think that's like a keeper. So but I think it's really important just to emphasize the way you start something is the way that things are going to go. So you have to really be careful with how you start a relationship, or even if it's just a series of dates. Because even for me, I was sort of in the pattern of I'm paying for the movie, I'm paying for the snacks at the movie, possibly, I'm paying for our outing, I'm paying for her drinks, I'm paying for my drinks. For someone that actually you love and you have the money for it, yeah, that's not a big deal. But that's a lot of time to waste on somebody that has no intention of marrying you. So I really want to emphasize this to you, gentlemen. Please take your time to evaluate the nature and the character, even the level of integrity of the woman that you're entertaining. There are some women that will love every moment that you are spending with them, and they don't need you to spend any money. They will sometimes spend the money because they just want to spend time with you. It's you that they're after, not your pocketbook, not your prestige, not your status. They want you. They see your value. And then you have other women that are not interested in you. They're only interested in what you can offer. What can you give them? And so you want to be mindful not to start a relationship with somebody that potentially can play you around with you. And they just entertain because you're the stupid guy or you're the silly guy that's just going to pay a really large amount of money to entertain them just for a season. I just want to remind you guys of that. Be very careful with your time, gentlemen. Your time is just as important as any other woman out here. Be careful and be mindful. Take care, and God bless you guys. Peace.